Welcome on board the Richplanet starship, broadcasting from somewhere high above the Earth. I'm Richard D. Hall, and I'm going to kick things off again by taking a look at some of the week's news headlines. Holly Greig, a Down syndrome lady, aged 30, originally from Aberdeen, in the year 2000, started making allegations that she had been repeatedly raped during her childhood by her father and members of a paedophile ring. Greig has named 14 of her abusers, which include a high-ranking Scottish sheriff called Graham Buchanan and a high-ranking police officer, now deceased, and social workers. The Lord Advocate of Scotland, Elish Angelini, acting via the legal firm Levy and McRae, has prevented mainstream media from reporting on this important case by issuing letters and emails to news editors threatening them with legal action if they publish. We suspect the reason why this paedophile ring is being protected by the state is that its members extend to the highest levels of the Scottish and possibly British government. In June last year, a Panorama team who were making a documentary about the case were told by a senior BBC figure to scrap the programme and warned they would lose their jobs if they continued. In February this year, Robert Green, who was supporting the Greig family in their battle for justice, travelled to Aberdeen to hand out leaflets in the street. He was arrested for breach of the peace and held in custody for 3 days. He is now not allowed to talk about the case. Last year, Holly received £13,500 in compensation from the Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority in an attempt to shut the family up. Holly's mother, Anne Greig, is continuing her campaign for the perpetrators to be brought to justice. In the White House continues to push for sanctions against Iran's nuclear energy program, whilst China urges caution and diplomacy over this issue. Under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran is entitled to use nuclear technology for peaceful applications. Meanwhile, Iran's President Muhammad Ahmadinejad has warned against a reported Israeli plan to launch a second military offensive against Palestinians in Gaza. Israeli Deputy Prime Minister Silvan Shalom said that a military operation will soon be launched in response to rocket attacks from Gaza. Now, Bill Ryan of Project Camelot recently interviewed a high-ranking ex-military Freemason who claimed that he attended a Freemasonic meeting in London in 2005, which was held by some of the highest-ranking Masons from financial, political and military backgrounds, who spoke of a plot called the Anglo-Saxon Mission. He claimed that this plan had been in place for many years and it involved using Israel and Iran to trigger a nuclear war with China, which would then be followed by the use of biological weapons against China. He also claimed that the plan's intended time frame was for this to happen by the summer of 2011. The UK general election will take place shortly, on or before the 3rd of June. With the Conservative Party holding a 7-point lead over Labour, it looks as if the result will either be a hung parliament or a Conservative victory. This doesn't make a great deal of difference because all of the major figures of both Labour and Conservative are actually part of the same Bilderberg group, which, along with several other hidden groups, is the real unelected government of the United Kingdom. All very disturbing stuff. If this news is too upsetting for you, you might like to switch over to the BBC News to find out which MP made an expenses claim for dog food. It's time to introduce this week's guest onto the starship. This man has been researching British histories for well over 35 years and has encountered extreme opposition from the academic community. This opposition is mainly from the Church of Rome because of what the research has unearthed regarding Jesus Christ and Christianity. So without further ado, let's activate the teleporter and get him beamed up onto the ship. It's Alan Wilson. Welcome, Alan. Do have a seat. Welcome on board the starship, Alan. Are you well?
No, not too bad.
Good, good. Okay, well, you've written lots of books along with your partner, Baron Blackett, and I've got some of them down here. We're just going to briefly start to give an overview of your research.
By all means. Sure.
This is your latest book, I believe.
Yes.
Which is The Trojan War, 650 BC.
Yes.
I believe there's some controversy over that date, Alan, is that right?
There was controversy late in the reign of Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, just BC. Virgil had produced his Aeneid, and again there was a massive conflict between the Greek dating of 1135 to 1330 odd.
Okay.
They weren't sure, and the Romans saying that the Trojan War was around 650. The Frank list of kings takes you back to about Antenor of Troy again, 650.
Okay.
The British histories, as recorded in Wales, certainly give a date of the arrival of Brutus at 500 BC in Britain, which again is 650, and the Hebrew records, 650.
Well, I mean,
So,
my knowledge of ancient British history could be written on the back of a matchbox.
Yeah,
but,
why not?
We're here, you know, you're going to try and enlighten me on British history, and the book that you wrote before this one is the Discovery of the Ark, which charts your journey to, you believe that the Ark of the Covenant is buried in Wales, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, and then we've got Moses.
Moses and the hieroglyphs.
Okay.
Yep.
And we've got another of your works, which is the King Arthur conspiracy, which
That's it.
we're going to have a look at this artifact here, which is King Arthur's cross. Which do you care to tell us a little bit about that, Alan?
Well, there was an excavation done at St. Peter's Sub Montem Church in 1990. The excavation showed that the church went back to the 1st century AD. There were 7 or 8 successive buildings. It was variously destroyed. And it is either it's the burial spot of Arthur II. Okay.
And I believe you uncovered 2 gravestones there, is that right?
Well, there were a number of gravestones there, but what we were getting at, we were most of the way down to a crypt underneath the church. And the excavation was struck by a freak 100-mile-an-hour wind storm Sunday mornings. And then in the next fortnight, 2 70-mile-an-hour storms. The hill faces the Severn, and you've got the Atlantic and the Severn, and the excavation was wrecked.
And you know, the fact that this is King Arthur's cross is disputed by academics.
Nobody's disputed it with me.
No one's disputed it, okay.
We did ask the National Museum of Wales to test it for us, and they refused to test it.
Because
what can you do?
I mean, there are mainstream historians who think that King Arthur was completely fictitious. Are they not?
Well, if you have that statement, then all I can say is you've not bothered to read any ancient British history.
Okay.
Because it's impossible to make that statement if you have read any ancient British history.
Well, we're actually going to have a look at the cross because
Why not?
We're going to have it beamed up onto the very starship. And I'm a bit worried about this because it's a very expensive artifact, and we're going to put it through our teleporter machine. So if I just activate the teleporter and it's Baron Blackett with King Arthur II's cross. Welcome on board the Starship, Baron, and thank you very much indeed for bringing this artefact with you. I'd just like to take a sceptical point of view. I mean, have you had this thing authenticated?
Yes, the Electrum Cross has been authenticated by the most reputable, reliable sources, including Body Code, the international metallurgy analysts, who have got branches all over the world, Australia, China, United States of America, and so forth. And we have this report has actually been published in front of the book, The King Arthur Conspiracy.
Okay.
It's also been authenticated by the American Historical and Epigraphical Society. So there's several reports to substantiate that there's no doubt about the cross's authenticity.
Okay. And I believe due to the metallic content, you can roughly gauge the age of this cross. Is that true?
Approximately, it's early, but around 350 AD, approximately, I would guess, all in all.
Right.
Judging by all the reports and the general consensus of our investigations.
So does that not put it in the time of Arthur the First rather than
That's
Arthur
what I
the
think.
Second?
Yeah, I think that
Okay.
it could be, yes.
Right. So you think it may be King Arthur the First cross. And what about academic response from archaeological circles and that kind of thing? How did they respond when you uncovered this?
Well, firstly, we found that many academics, and particularly the ones in university, start with their preconceived mindsets within an inaccurate framework. In other words, they don't start with a clean sheet that sort of refer to each other's books too much. Basically, we start with a clean sheet and we operate on the scientific level, analysing the facts with industrial techniques of analysis.
Okay.
Basically, but the point is that there's been no actual negative responses about it. It's been basically kept in a sort of a low profile position.
Okay. Okay. Right. And what about, has there anything like this been found before?
Yes, about approximately 18 months ago, a cross was found by Quentin Hutchinson,
Okay.
and this was reported in the Times on the 22nd of September 2008. It's almost an identical cross in circumference and in weight. It's approximately 9 inches in length. It weighs about 2 pounds in weight. It's electrum, and the headline is "Christian amulet that ruined my life is not a hoax."
Okay.
Now, Quentin Hutchinson had the same response, hostile response as we had,
Okay.
what we have experienced. But the point is, these sort of artifacts, in particular the metallic ones, could date anything from approximately 300 AD to 600 AD, 700 AD. So we don't know exactly the date of the cross.
Okay.
It could be anything ranging from 300 AD to 600 AD. That's a general sort of consensus of opinion among the experts which we have instructed to investigate.
And have you had it valued? I mean, I guess you can't put a value on something
How
like this.
can you put a value on such a unique artifact?
Okay. Okay, well, thanks very much indeed, Baron, for risking the teleporter machine, because it would have been a disaster if you'd appeared and the cross hadn't. So I'll let you take it back down to planet Earth, and thanks very much indeed for
Thank
coming
you.
in. Okay. You believe that ancient British history has been distorted over the last sort of 100 to 200 years, and that basically the Roman occupation was far less than is stated in normal history books. Now, we need to go back, I think, to 700 BC with the 10 tribes of Israel. Can you tell us about those, Alan? And
The second migration into Britain is that one you're referring to. What has happened is that we had an ancient alphabet in Britain. Julius Caesar describes it, numerous others. I mean, David ap Gwilym died 1367, describes it. It's on ancient stones of 600, 500 BC, AD in Scotland, in England, and in Wales. It's described by a number of writers in Wales in the 1425, 1450, 1470 period. Rhys Goch of Oswestry wrote a whole poem about it in 1582.
this is the
And so
pronounced
the alphabet,
Culbra.
the Roman alphabet, yeah. So the dispute has been that in recent times, and I mean recent times, 1930s onwards, the Culbran alphabet was declared to be a forgery of 1800. Well, Julius Caesar would have had a job to describe it, and all these others would have had a job to describe it, and it wouldn't be on ancient stones.
Okay.
It's on one stone in Wales which says Godufan the Exile, and Godufan was a king who was deposed around the year AD 200, and so on. So the authenticity of this alphabet is literally beyond dispute.
Okay. So you've compared this alphabet with another alphabet from basically from the east.
Well, no. What's happened is in 1797, a writer in 1848, another book was published. 1852, another book was published. 1848, John Williams from Oxford. And in 1906, D. Delta Evans. And they all said, isn't it strange, the ancient British alphabet is virtually identical with ancient Etruscan, Italy, right? And Pelasgian, which means the Aegean and Asia Minor.
Okay.
So that matches the migration route of the ancient British people. So like the Brits have gone to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, they've taken their religion, their customs, their language and alphabet and everything with them. So other people migrating would do the same. Now, Llewellyn Shawn, around 1530 to 1560, preserved the cipher of the alphabet. So we know which symbol is A, which is B, which is C, and so on. We thought, well, it's been said that every alphabet known to mankind has been tried to translate Etruscan. Well, that's not true, because it didn't try British alphabet, and it didn't try the Welsh language.
Okay.
So we did that. We tried it out.
Okay, and one of the artifacts is the Brutus stone from Lemnos, which contains some of this ancient alphabet, which you have compared with the ancient British alphabet and found, you know, basically that it's based on the same thing. And in 504 BC, the migration of some of the tribes of Israel came to Britain.
Yeah, what has happened is that the Assyrians knew the 10 tribes of Israel as the Cymry, Khumry. They had been deported from Israel up north into the Armenian area around there. When Sennacherib was murdered, 687 BC, they took that opportunity with a civil war raging in Assyria, and they moved through Turkey, coming west. And the Greeks picked up, and they called the Cymry the Cymry, they would, and the Cimmerians. They got to the Dardanelles about 650 BC. Well, there are inscriptions in this same alphabet right the way through Turkey.
Okay.
Equally, Austin Layard discovered the archives of the Assyrian emperors, sent 25,000 clay tablets to London, and some of the people at the British Museum said, oh gosh, look, here's the ancient British alphabet on some of the baked clay tablets from the records of the Assyrians. So it occurred to us that the Cymry, the Cymry, are the same people. Because again, it's on the migration trail.
And this sort of, you believe that there were no Celts in Britain up until about 1714 then, is that?
When they were invented.
Right, when the Celts were invented.
That's right.
Okay.
If the British people are Celtic, then all the histories are wrong.
Okay.
And can be rejected.
Right.
The same applies to Ireland. And the idea of them being, see, if you dispossess people of their history and you eliminate the history, which has been done, then you have to give them a new identity.
Yes.
So why not Celts?
Okay.
Yeah.
And you believe that there were basically British kings right the way through the Roman era?
Oh, you can prove that. You can prove that, yeah.
Okay.
The kings started with Brutus around 500 BC, and there are 80 successive Welsh kings, based mainly in South Wales.
Right. And Arthur I and II were two of those kings?
They were two of those kings, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Alan, well, we're going to go for a short break now. It's all fascinating stuff, so join us soon after this short break. Welcome back on board the Starship, and we're talking with historian Alan Wilson. And we were talking just before the break, Alan, about the 10 tribes of Israel. And we said that, you know, in your books you've described how they came to Britain from Lemnos. Now, is there any evidence from before this time of the 10 tribes of Israel?
Well, around 1948, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, not everybody. The Dead Sea Scrolls are generally on, I think, papyrus or that type of writing material. And they're in Aramaic, the Aramaic alphabet. But they also found 2 copper scrolls. And the copper scrolls are inscribed not in Aramaic and not in the Aramaic alphabet language.
Okay.
Now, Jim Michael of Kentucky, researching there, came to exactly the same conclusion as we did in 1994, that it's the Colburn alphabet.
Again, right. Okay.
And so you got the Colburn alphabet in Kentucky, found by Michael in Kentucky. I went out to see him, went to a Baptist seminary there, had a look at good pictures, and it's the Colburn alphabet. Right. what has happened is that if you look at them, these copper scrolls, they have been sliced up to get them unrolled, but there are holes all along the top and holes all along the bottom. So once upon a time they were flat plates nailed to a wall, and someone must have ripped them from the wall because there are tear marks from the holes, top and bottom, rolled them up and put them in this clay jar or whatever.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't do it. Now, we think therefore it's been ripped off a temple wall or something, but they do read into the Welsh language. So it's the same as Etruscan. You take the Etruscan or the other symbol, you put the modern letter underneath, because we've got the cipher, thanks to the Welsh Shorn, and they look up a Welsh dictionary and you got the word, and you can read the copper scrolls. So you're right back there. Further back, a large wrapping sheet, they call it the shroud, is now in it's in Yugoslavia.
Right.
And this shroud, the Zagreb shroud, about 30 feet long, 30 inches wide, is inscribed totally with the same Caldron alphabet.
Okay.
So it goes right back into Egypt.
Right. Fascinating. Okay, now another one of your books, Alan, is the discovery of the Ark of the Covenant, and you know I'm fascinated by that because you've uncovered various pieces of evidence which basically chart the path of the Ark of the Covenant from, you know, the Middle East over to Britain, basically. Can you explain what evidence you have and what makes you believe that it's in Britain?
Well, when we were doing the Etruscan stuff, we did little cups and vases with little words and little phrases on and all sorts of artifacts. And then we moved up to sentences written where there's a statue and a bit writing on it. Or in the Etruscan tombs, there are frescoes on walls and a little bit of writing here and there. And then we moved up to the big, they call them Cephuses, it's C-I-P-P-U-S, keepers. And they're great big slabs with inscriptions. And we went along further and we found things. There's one big bronze tablet, which would be enormously expensive bronze, you know. And it's got 3 sections of writing on it. And in it, it tells how the people are in a place where they're not happy, and there are great storms and pestilences. So they leave, and they follow a little cabinet riding in a cart. You see? And they come to a place where they are happy. I'm paraphrasing it, obviously.
Yeah.
Then the second time, they are taken away from where they're happy to a place where, again, they're unhappy. And again, they follow the little cabinet that rides in the cart. You see what? And they are now in a place where they don't want to be. And then the third section tells how they take off. This is the phrase, they take off again, right? And they go away from this place where they're unhappy, and they follow the little cabinet in a cart until they come to a seashore, and they take ships and go where they are now. Well, we take that, because there is a migration of this sort from Asia Minor recorded by Herodotus, going to Italy, you see, a big migration. And we take that as the journey from Egypt to Israel. Second, the deportation between 740 and 702 by the 4 to 5 successive Egyptian emperors, Tiglath-Pileser, Shalmaneser V, Sargon, Sennacherib, so on. They deported hundreds of thousands. I mean, one deportation, 200,000 people.
Is this the 10 tribes?
Took them up north, deported them, leaving only the 2 tribes.
Okay.
And so that's the second section. And the third section is where Sennacherib is murdered by 2 of his sons, civil war erupts in Assyria, and they take their chance and head off through Asia Minor, through Turkey. And they go to the Dardanelles area, they take ship, and they go to Italy. Half the people go, according to Herodotus.
Okay.
The other half stay. Now, that would fit again. The little cabinet riding in the cart we think is the Ark. I don't think it can be anything else.
Right. So the other half had the Ark.
It either goes to Italy or it comes to the UK.
Okay.
One of the 2.
Right.
Now, if you live in Cardiff and you've got any interest, certainly when I was young, there's a North Cardiff legend or story, folk tale, call it what you will. And it says that there's a giant or large wooden cabinet or box, and the box contains a great treasure, but it's guarded by 2 Cig Ran Goa, giant ravens. Now, it doesn't take a genius to see the Ark of the Covenant containing the stones of Moses' tablets or something, and on the top are the two cherubim with their wings fiercely guarding the Ark, you see. Because the cherubim wasn't a little angelic figure.
I've covered that in a program
beast,
actually, yeah.
Ferocious.
The highest rank of angels, which were
it was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Didn't want to meet him. So somewhere north of there, well, in modern times, people were going out having a Sunday with their metal detectors looking for this.
Uh-huh.
It goes right up to Rhondda and over to Maesteg, that area. They don't know what it is. About 15 years ago, two brothers from the top of the Rhondda, out one Sunday with their sandwiches and their metal detectors. They sat down on a mound, and one of them forgot to put his metal detector off. And of course, it goes ping, 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 and they thought, oh, they'd found it, but they hadn't.
Right.
They'd found £90,000 worth of Roman coins.
Okay.
But people were looking for this object. Now we thought, hang about, this is the little box that rides in the cabinet. Because if the people come from Lemnos under Brutus and they come here to the UK, then here we are, we've got the Ark in the UK.
Right.
And this is the zone.
Right, okay.
So we're in an area, a zone.
Right, okay. Now, you then started looking at ancient mounds, didn't you, Alan?
Yeah, my colleague...
Which brought new evidence, you know, and basically eventually guided you to the location.
There are large earth mounds scattered right across Pass Gwent and Glamorgan and up to Brecon. Maybe 50 miles that way and, you know, across east to west and 30, 35 miles north to south.
Okay.
There's another great big patch of them down in Pembrokeshire, these mounds. My colleague said to me, what's the name of that? Because he's a Newcastle man. I'm half Newcastle and half Cardiff, father and mother. And I said, oh, bloody, it means ferocious warrior.
Right.
And I started thinking, hold it, you know. And I said, that's what the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Arabs and the Hebrews called constellation of Hercules.
Okay.
See? Forget the Romans, forget the Greeks, leave them out of it, because they're misleading. The concentration on them is wrong.
Right.
So we already knew there was another huge mound over to the east, and that's called Tumbalum, means the he-goat.
Right.
The billy goat. Well, hang about, the constellation main star Hercules, and then you've got Capricorn, the goat.
Right.
So we knew that we were looking perhaps at the main stars, the first and second magnitude.
Right. The brightest
constellations.
stars. Yeah.
Up on the hill then, down below, just outside Cardiff, the Garth Mountain, there are three mounds in a row, two big ones and one little one. Well, you know the Adrian Gilbert and Beauval business of the two big pyramids and the little one, the Belt of Orion.
Yeah. Orion's Belt, the Giza pyramids, yeah, we all know
in
that
relation to these others, that was in the right position.
Okay.
Now, once you know two or three, you can triangulate, and you find the pole star.
Okay.
And we did, we triangulated, and we found a standing stone.
Okay.
So we now had the pole star. And from there, you could work out all these other mounds.
We've got a map here. I'll just unfold it on the desk, which basically, I mean, you may not be able to see it too well, but you've charted on here. This is the pole star here. Yes. Am I right? Yeah. So where there's a huge standing stone.
They're not huge, but it's a standing stone.
Okay, it's standing stone, and there are many other. Well, how many ancient mounds are there marked on this map, Alan? I mean,
well, we've got 50 or 60 located.
50 or 60.
Yeah.
And you believe that all of these mounds represent a bright star?
Yes, well,
constellation.
It can't be otherwise.
Right.
I mean, it's difficult to see it any other way.
Okay.
You look for, Taurus must be over there, and they're in the middle of it. An estate in Cardiff is a mound,
I mean,
you know.
And what about, so that means that if it was the people from, you know, Assyria or the 10 tribes that made these mounds, that means they must all be after 500 BC, is that, would that be right? Or?
Well, we don't know.
Don't know.
The first migration is from Syria to Britain with Albine.
Right.
Masses of evidence for that dug up by the great Leonard Woolley.
And what year was
Didn't
that?
realise it. He was excavating Ur 1922 to 34. Got overshadowed by Tutankhamun, but his discoveries were greater.
Right. But what year were the discoveries from, would you say?
Well, they would have come into Britain, the Syrians, right? That's where you get the name Surrey.
Right.
That's why in the Odyssey, Homer, in the Odyssey, Ulysses says to his farm bailiff, "Where are you from, actually?" "I'm in for the great island out in the Western Ocean called Surrey, you see."
Right, okay.
There's a hell of a lot mixed. But the point is that we now knew that these were star mounds.
Right.
And we also knew that we had the two migrations pegged down, because the archaeologists will tell you there are two sudden eruptions in Britain of huge, high-quality metalworking cultures.
Okay, Alan. Well,
and they come out of nowhere.
Right. Well, we'll come back to the Ark of the Covenant in part 3. I'm going to change the subject entirely now because it's time for the Artist of the Week, where we feature a music artist or a video artist.
Yeah, why not?
And this week it's Steve McGee, who's produced a fantastic video, and it's all about the UFO cover-up. And I'm not quite sure you would class this as rap music, or it's. I'm not really up on modern pop groups, but I'm going to don my Steve McGee glasses and take a listen to this.
Well, I'm just taking the dog out. It's a bit late to be going over the woods now, isn't it, son? It's all right. It's not like I'm going to get abducted or anything.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession.
There is a small group of people all over the world who are awakening, who are beginning to understand that they've been living their life.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society. The very word secrecy is repugnant. The very word secrecy is repugnant.
Being left to the top, being left all alone, being left in your home, being left out to know, being left to the top, being left all alone, being left in your home, being left out to know, being left to the top, being left all alone, being left in your home, being left out to know, being left to the top, being left all alone, being left in your home, being left out to know, being on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day turns out to be the same way. Still got these things running in my brain. I wish I never done cocaine. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day turns out to be the same way. Still got these things running in my brain. I wish I never done cocaine. The sort of things that makes you go insane. The sort of things that make you look out of place. You're the odd one out. You really think we're the only ones that are living in space. Being left to the top, being left all alone, being left in your home, being left out to know, being left to the top, being left all alone, being left in your home, being left. I mean, come on, know if it's right that people know about this Babel slide show. I'm the one who's sitting in front row. I'm the one who tell all about you. All the stuff that you secret people hide. All the truth being kept from my needing eyes. I hope soon people will realise that we've been living in loads of lies. Stuff that I've seen, it gets worse than an extraterrestrial meeting. It gets worse than a UFO chasing me. It gets worse than an alien abductee. Non-terrestrial officer. NASA, you if you would like to research Gary McKinnon, you will find that they're saying he's the world's worst hacker. Some could be fact, some could be science fiction. Undeniable truth or false. Goddamn, this shit's an addiction. Whether you believe me or not, I don't care. It's your time that's wasting on the clock. Did you know there's structures on the moon and a UFO in a crater that got stuck? No one to know the truth, you might as well just be saying the end of your life. With all this crazy shit that's going on, all these sly people, they let walk by. They're watching us here day and night. They control our life and they ain't right. living a normal day-to-day life. What the stuff that I've seen, it gets worse than an extraterrestrial being. It gets worse than a UFO chasing me. It gets worse than an alien abductee. Non-terrestrial found out searching all these years with your pain, heartbreak and paranoid fears. So it's sitting there right on top of your minds about the only thing you talk about all the time. Being left in the dark, being left all alone. Being left in the dark, being left all alone. Being left in the dark, being left all alone. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Welcome back on board the Starship, and that music video was by Steve McGee, and you can find more of Steve's work on the internet. If you just Google Steve McGee music video, you'll be able to find some of his work on YouTube. And we are joined by the Starship rodent, Ulysses. Now, some people have suggested that Ulysses here is named after the Greek mythological character. In fact, that's not strictly true. He's named after the cult 1980s television program Ulysses 31, which was actually based on the Greek mythological character. I didn't understand a word of that program. It was very Bob Lazar, but it had a great theme tune. Okay, now it's time for the interesting person of the week, and this week it's Brian, who's an ex-footballer nonetheless, and he's talking about his UFO sighting.
My name's Brian Croft and I'm from Chester, and about 5 or 6 years ago I had an experience of actually seeing a saucer-shaped craft. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I was driving along quite high up on a hill where you can actually see quite a distance of the Cheshire area and the Welsh area, and I noticed just sort of hovering behind a cloud was a silver disc, and originally I assumed, well, it was a plane, but what drew my attention to it was the stillness, and it didn't move. And then as I kept looking and staring, it actually, at great speed, sort of vertically, and I wouldn't estimate whether it would be a mile, stopped, and then actually just shot off to the right at astronomical speeds, and I was just blown away, and actually 4 or 5 days later, I went into the local shop and was hovering about looking for a DVD, and there was 2 elderly gentlemen behind me that actually witnessed it, and they were actually right beneath it. So that was one of my sort of first UFO experiences.
Very interesting, I think you'll agree. If you suspect that you may be interesting or perhaps have interesting tendencies, then we would like to hear from you. So why not make a YouTube clip, try and keep it under 2 minutes, and send a link to the clip to starship@richplanet.net, and you can talk about anything you like as long as it's interesting. Which brings me to the interesting scientific fact of the week, which is this. If you could drive your car in a straight path from the surface of the Earth directly upwards, you would arrive here in space in just over an hour. Okay. Do you have any pets, Alan?
No, we've got the 2 dogs, but they're not pets.
Yeah.
They're not pets.
I've met Alan's pets. Yeah. 2 Rottweilers.
You've still got both your hands, have you?
Yeah, I've still got both my hands. Yeah. I don't think we'll be introducing Ulysses to your pets.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Right. Okay then. Well, let's continue to talk about the Ark of the Covenant, because I'm absolutely fascinated by it. And one question I've got for you, Alan, if we could put a price on the Ark of the Covenant, what would it be?
My opinion would be about 2 billion.
2 billion? £2 billion. That's 2,000 million pounds.
Well, you see, when we were starting this research, way before we got to this, we met Lord Jack Brooks in the House of Lords. He said, if your research is on the Arthurian side are right, you could create a tourist industry in South Wales, he said, of at least 20,000 jobs. Now, I think we can create an industry of far more than 20,000 jobs. And it's not like a factory. You can't take it away and put it in India or somewhere. It's there for good, permanent.
I mean, this is why I give credence to your Art of the Covenant work because of the King Arthur work, you know, which to me seems 100% plausible. The cross, you know, the graves that you've uncovered. I mean, I think we should take a little bit of a look at the method that you used to locate the exact location, which was, we were talking before the break about the star maps. So you believe that these ancient mounds they're built in the pattern of constellations.
Yeah, they can't be otherwise. I mean, in the West Wales map, you've got the complete W of Cassiopeia, you've got the scepter of Sisi, the three in the bend. You know, there's so much of it, indeed, of Hercules, and you've got Perseus the robber, and they're set out so precisely.
In the mounds?
Yeah. It's difficult to see any other explanation.
Have you got any thought as to why the ancients used to do that? I mean, these mounds would take a long time to build. They're not little things.
No, these are not little.
Some of them are 40 metres high, aren't they?
Some of them are huge. Some are huge. Yeah, vast.
So nobody really knows why they would do that. Then, or just that they did.
Well, I think they knew a little bit more about what's up there than we do.
Right.
I think they knew a bit more than we think they did.
So the actual constellation that you thought that the Ark of the Covenant would be buried at is.
Well, it's got to be within a zone, within the encompass of the entire system, right?
Yes.
And we think that zone is north of Cardiff, the Rhondda. That's the area where it's always been traditional about this chest.
And it's the constellation of Leo.
Well, we thought Leo, being the lion, was the emblem of Judah. Jerusalem was in Judah. That's where they had the temple. That's where they put the ark and so on. So we thought that was a good bet. So it was really a matter of finding the star Regulus, which is the biggest. There are two first magnitude stars in Leo. One is Tenebola, one's Regulus. So we wanted to say where on the map and Regulus. And there's a vast mound where Regulus should be, a vast mound.
Yeah, I had a look at that last night
huge.
on Google Earth.
Yeah. And
it's a place called Unis, is that?
Unis.
It's a huge mound, isn't it? I mean, how big is it?
Well, it's a mound on top of a hill.
Okay.
And so you've got about a 60 feet addition, maybe 4 or 5 acres.
Right. And, you know, it's quite a small object, 2 foot by 4 foot, the Ark of the Covenant. So you kind of did a survey and found various things within the mound. Is that right?
Well, no, what we did first, we located that there were 4 sumps along the north side.
Right, sumps.
Which I think I would describe them. The
Describe them now.
Is like a bowl-shaped depression. It's a man-made bowl shape in the side of the hill.
Right. About, what, 12 feet in diameter?
Yeah, about that.
Right.
Underground chamber always had a hole in the floor.
Right.
And they dug a tunnel down towards the outside of the hill. If that's the hill, the tunnel goes down to the outside of the hill. So water coming into that chamber would run down the drain. When it got to underneath the bowl, the shaft would be underneath the bowl. They would make a little tick hole horizontally. So water would come down and have to flood upwards, stop it eroding anything away. So that little shaft would be filled with white stones of 3 types. And if for some reason or other no weeds grow in it, and you find that you've got this plug hole in each one, probably about 18 inches or more wide.
Right. So these stones are a special type of stone which the chemical composition must kill the weeds or stop it from growing.
Well, samples were taken to the National Museum and to a university, and the geologist established that these stones come from Cornwall, 300 miles away. So they knew what they were doing.
Right.
And
the whole purpose of these things is to keep whatever is inside there dry.
Dry. That's right. That was the purpose.
Right.
So we knew roughly from where the sumps were, where the chambers might be.
Okay.
And on the south side of the hill, looking down at Google Earth again, thank you Google, were tram lines.
Right.
Not starting from the top of the hill, but about a third of the way down. And we went round there and there was a lot of rubble going, where if you dig a tunnel in somewhere, you throw the stuff out, it's going to roll straight down the hill, tram lines.
Right.
So someone had created a tunnel. So we knew where the tunnel was and where the sumps were, and we made a pretty accurate guess that there was a band of area between a certain zone that was worth looking at.
Right. So you then got...
We got Alan Hassel from London, who's, in my opinion, one of the best metal detector types in the world. He's the first guy in the world who ever managed to do metal detection underwater. you know,
right.
what a character.
Right.
Ordinary guy, but good at what he does. And he's got a detector that goes down 30 feet, and it'll differentiate between ferrous and non-ferrous metals.
Okay.
And we located an item 4 feet by 2 feet, non-ferrous metal, which is the size of the lid of the Ark of the Bible as in the Bible. Ark of the Covenant, not the Ark of the Bible. And obviously, you know, that is the correct size. It's non-ferrous metal. It's in the right place.
And
Take it from there.
okay, so you were in contact with the landowners when you were doing this
Yes,
research.
yes,
and,
oh, yes,
you know, I
yes.
would be there with my shovel, digging it frantically if that was my land. I mean, what did the landowners say to you about this?
Well, I think they're typically Welsh farmers, and you know, they earn a living from selling, breeding sheep, and they're good businessmen. They've got other businesses as well.
Yeah.
I think they think we're slightly mad,
right.
if not completely gone. It's a big shock for them, and I think they've made the mistake of consulting some of the experts. You know, people in a university or so who've never thought of doing anything in this direction,
Right.
and have no knowledge whatsoever of what.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of, oh my God. The other thing they don't want is if a big fuss was made and there's nothing there, then they're going to have all sorts up there on the
Yeah,
evenings and
because
weekends.
the
you know.
implications.
They don't want them on their land.
So let's say if the Ark of the Covenant is there.
Yeah.
The implications are what to the history of Christianity, and you know, how would we have to rewrite things?
Well, Christianity starts off in Britain in 37 AD, the last year of Tiberius. For a start, it doesn't start in Rome.
Right.
It's taken to Rome in 51 AD by the family of Cranach.
Right.
So that is a fact. Cardinal Bronius, Cardinal Alfred, and
So
I
that
could quote you a
completely
whole list
flies in the
of
face
references.
of what would, you know, the mainstream historians would.
Well, if the mainstream historian does any historical research, then he'd have to agree with us.
Okay.
If they don't do any research, which is most of them, they just read each other's work.
And the other thing, if the Ark,
It's a fact. It's been admitted by the Bishop of Rome anyway.
right? If the Ark was found there, it would possibly be some kind of unifying
Yeah.
thing for Islam and Christianity.
Yes, I think so. I mean, the Muslims definitely believe in Moses, and so do the Jews, and so do the Christians. There's a lot of row going on at the moment with certain, let's call them misguided people, want to dig underneath the Temple Mount and go under the mosque there,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
in Jerusalem. There'd be no need to do that because it's not there.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, you might have a settlement of that contentious issue for a start.
Yeah.
They might find they've got something in common.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Which could unify some of the
Yeah,
world's
if you look at
religions,
what you've
which
got
are,
in common,
you
rather
know,
than what your differences are.
I mean, I personally think that there are people who are trying to divide and conquer, you know, the religions of the world, and put Muslims against Christians, and you know,
Yeah.
create wars.
Well, it's always, religion has always resulted in wars. I mean, let's face it, it's time to stop it. The main thing that I would say is that this is not the only thing that we found using this system. There are 13 Mabinogi tales, right? And the last 3 are about knight errants going on their journeys. Peredur, his steel shirt, is Jupiter going around the stars,
Okay.
the planet.
Right.
Geraint is Mars going around on journeys through the stars.
Right.
You see?
Okay.
And not knights as we know them on Earth charging around the forest. You know?
I see. Yes.
and
Yes.
Therefore, these stories tell us where to go for other things.
Right. So a planet, for example, on your mound map would not be in a fixed position.
No.
It would be moving around as they do.
No.
Yeah.
You follow the journey on land. What's happened in the sky, you can follow it on land. So we found other things. We went in search. Anglo-Saxon Chronicle says that, you know, and they, the British, gathered together all the treasures of Britain in one place and buried them, and no man has ever seen them since.
Okay.
We know where they are.
And
We know where they are.
just to finish, Alan. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we could probably do a whole series of programs on your
Go on all
information in all of these books.
Yeah.
You know, would somebody not have perhaps dug that thing up behind closed doors after you've revealed the location, or do you think it's still there?
Oh, it's still there.
And so, what are the likelihood of it being dug up, or do you think the lid's been closed on this? Or
I think the government has to take a hand. I think authority has to step in.
Okay.
Firstly, if just for job creation, if just for wealth creation on a permanent basis in a depressed area.
It would revolutionise the tourism industry of Wales, wouldn't it?
In 1986, we had the unedifying sight of two large coaches going around parts of Wales, full of politicians and bureaucrats and about 12 Japanese gentlemen, who said, give us £150 million of your money, we will build a factory with it and employ 5,000 people, make motor cars. In the event, the factory went to Sunderland, not to South Wales.
Right.
Now, and it only ever employed 3,000.
Right.
We haven't asked them for a cent. Right? And we'll create thousands of jobs. All we're asking them to do is dig a hole.
Yeah.
Now, there's a big difference, you know.
Yeah. It's just blows my mind that they won't look at that and take you seriously, Alan. And, you know, we'll have to invite you back to you know, discuss some more of your work. But really, thank you very much indeed for coming in, Alan. It's fascinating. I need to read some of your books and expand my knowledge of history. So thanks very much indeed.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. Right, and just a quick announcement before we go. We're possibly looking at having a studio audience for the Richplanet Starship. So if you want to be beamed up onto the craft, if you let us know by emailing starship@richplanet.net. And just a quick word to keep your eyes on the skies, your feet on the ground, and tell all your friends about this show.